So right now, I'd like to welcome to the stage Allison Shapira.
Thank you, thank you.
Allison resides in Washington, D.C. She's a recovering opera singer, and her debut album is called Coming Home. So right now, she's going to play a song from that album, so thanks to Allison.
Thank you, Gail. This is called All Along. So I left a great apartment on a quiet Cambridge street, and I moved in with some good friends who had a room just for me. And I bought a round-trip ticket, all of Europe for me to see. Packed my life into a suitcase, left Boston by the sea. And everywhere I turned to, the answer was the same. Forget about your worries, just get up on that plane. There I was in an airport bar with my backpack and guitar, saying this is who you are. All along I found myself searching for you, burning for you. And all along I told myself you would appear. If only I'd stop my searching, I'd find you here. So I flew to Vienna, then down to Napoli, and I stayed with some good friends who had a room just for me. Took a ferry to Makarska, where I floated in the sea, and I played guitar in a crowded bar for all the world to see. And everywhere I turned to, the answer was the same. Forget about your worries, just get up on that stage. There I was in a Croatian bar with my backpack and guitar, saying this is who you are. All along I found myself searching for you, burning for you. And all along I told myself you would appear. If only I'd stop my searching, I'd find you here. At the end of my journey, I arrived in Paris. And in the city of lights, I had no friends who were waiting there for me. But I walked the streets at midnight, brought my guitar with me, and I made new friends and found the whole city just waiting there for me. And everywhere I turned to, the answer was the same. Your time here is over, just get up on that plane. There I was in an airport bar with my backpack and guitar, saying this is who you are. All along I found myself searching for you, burning for you. And all along I told myself you would appear. If only I'd stop my searching. On and on I tell myself you will appear. If only I'll stop my searching, I'll find you here. Thank you.
Allison Shapira.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, really beautiful.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Allison, tell us how this song came about.
So in the summer of 2012, I quit my job up in Boston, moved everything I owned into storage, bought a travel guitar, and said, I'm going to Europe, I'll figure it out when I get back. I had never done more than an open mic at that point. I'd been playing the guitar for a year. And there I traveled around and started performing. I actually performed in 4 different countries, 4 different cities. And I wrote that song on the steps of the Paris Opera House, where as an opera singer I had always dreamed of performing. inside the opera house, not on the steps, but it's okay, it was close enough. That's how I wrote the song.
Now, I mentioned earlier that you, in your bio, you immediately say you're a recovering opera singer, so tell us about that.
So as young as I can remember, I wanted to be an opera singer, and I went to school for opera performance, but I left the music industry. I left the field of opera because I lost my passion for it. I didn't think I was good enough. I was told I wasn't good enough, and I stopped singing for 10 years. And then a couple years ago, I picked up a guitar, started learning how to play, and realized I was never supposed to be an opera singer. I was a folk singer, just using the wrong instrument. And so I think of myself as a recovering opera singer because opera is about the perfection of the art. And I don't believe in perfection. I believe in authenticity and passion. And I find folk music is about that authenticity and passion. And so I feel like I've liberated myself from the bonds of classical music, and I can just be myself as a folk singer.
That's great story. Now, I know that you, in addition to songwriting and performing, you have your own company, teaching public speaking and presentation skills.
Yes.
Tell us about that, Allison.
So I've been teaching public speaking on the side for 10 years, but after my trip to Europe, I spent a lot of time thinking about who do I want to be, what do I want to do with my life, and instead of searching for some job to pay the rent, I decided to build my own company around the things that I love to do and what I believe in. So I moved to Washington, D.C., which is a town that likes to talk, and started a company teaching public speaking, but using my own experience as a musician to help people find their voice and their courage to speak, whether they're speaking in public or speaking in an interview or anything that they're saying that's important to them. How can my journey as a musician, finding my own voice as a folk singer, how can that help them find their voice professionally or personally?
And what has the response been like?
Overwhelmingly positive. There are very few people who do this with a musical background, and DC is a town where people are creating the image they want others to see, whereas my message, whether it's through my music or my teaching, is about being yourself and taking ownership of your right to be yourself. And so that's a message that's very well received there.
Okay, now I have a different kind of question for you, Allison. Curious to know if there was somebody who you would choose to cover one of your songs. Who might that be?
Growing up and until today, Joan Baez has been a major influence on my songwriting. Even when I was singing classical music and studying classical music, that's never what I sang in the shower. What I sang in the shower was Diamonds and Rust.
And it's one of the
and
songs
it's the only
on her
song
CD, and it's really beautiful.
It's the only song I cover on my album,
really
and
beautiful.
So she's been a major influence. I'm looking for any way possible to connect with her and ask for her advice and mentorship. And I'm actually working on a Joan and Joni tribute concert with another singer-songwriter in the DC area named Kippen Martin. And so the two of us are working on that, on covers of Joan Baez and Joni Mitchell.
That's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
And I certainly hear the influences in your singing. So
it's a great compliment to hear that. Thank you.
That's a great thing. Tell us how people can find out about you, what you're up to.
So you can find out about me on my website, which is AllisonFromBoston.com. I bought the URL with 2 L's in Allison and 1 L, so people didn't have to spell my name correctly. Although when I was traveling around Europe, everyone called me Allison from Boston. So I used that name, although now that I'm in DC, I think I'm going to have to switch to another website. But you can always find me at AllisonFromBoston.com.
Okay, and I know you've done a TEDx talk. Just say a little bit about that.
It was an amazing opportunity. Last year I got to give a TEDx talk in the DC area on the subject of finding your voice based on my work with women around the world, helping them find their voice and their courage to speak. And I speak in the TEDx and I also sing in the TEDx. So it was the first time in my life that I incorporated music and speaking together, and I think it's just the beginning.
I watched it. It's very good, and I recommend
Thank you.
people
You can find it on my website,
Allison
from Boston.
Okay. Well, Allison, it's been a pleasure to hear you and chat with you, so thanks so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you.